The Live Stream Code and Rating Administration has rated this online event PG. All ages admitted. Please be kind and stay on topic.
Classic TV Funhouse with Dave Sunstrong.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Classic TV Funhouse. I'm going to say hello specifically to everybody in the chat. Let's take a peek, see who's here. We have got Tom McCluskey, Melina Long, channel member Angela McArdle, Gary Carpenter, Uncle Paul from Uncle Paul's Playhouse, Ward Arcade, who says, let's wish June Lockhart a happy 100th birthday. Hip, hip, hooray. Absolutely, Ward, we should. No doubt about it. I have been a big fan of June for decades. Loved her brief stint on Operation Petticoat, but come on. This is where I loved her the most, on Lost in Space. And here's a more recent picture of June. 100 years. How incredible is that? Happy birthday, Ms. Lockhart. Let's see who else might be in the chat. Make sure I said hello to everybody. Rachel in the 208 is here as well. Channel member Tracy Roth Myers, channel member Zuperplex, Gregory Alexander. Yes, both Michael Jackson. Wasn't it July? It was July 25th. Hang on a second. Nope, June 25th. You're absolutely correct, Gregory. Thanks for reminding us of that. Sad day. Definitely a sad day when we lost both of those wonderful entertainers. Lila Mirabella, welcome. Good to have you here. Bienvenue. Let's see. Karen Lester, welcome to the live stream. Classic TV fan. Ravenscroft 82. Wow, we're getting quite a few people here for an afternoon live stream. Awesome. Good to have you here. Rachel reminds us that June Lockhart was also on Lassie. And what is this I'm seeing, folks? Wishing Tracy Roth Myers, channel member Tracy Roth Myers, a happy birthday. Holy cow. If today is the day, or if we're anywhere near it, Tracy, happy birthday to you. It's great to be able to celebrate it with you a little bit. Candace Cherry is here as well. Candace, welcome. Good to have you with us. And sorry to hear that you had a funeral today. That's never fun, Ravenscroft 82, but on the plus side, a little time away from work, and hopefully I can help a little bit in terms of perking you up. Channel member Sarah, aka My Flock is Everywhere, is here hanging out with us as well. I think I've said hello to everybody except for good old Paul SG Tree, who just popped in. Welcome, Paul. Good to have you with us. So let's talk a little bit about what we're going to do in the Classic TV Funhouse today. What have I got prepared? Per the thumbnail, some Scooby-Doo, some Dawn Wells, lots and lots of vintage commercials, maybe a little something about the real Helen Crump, a musical interlude by Lisa Hartman, some Grant Goodeve information, and how can I not do something about Leave It to Beaver? We'll go with Jerry Mathers today, and a few more surprises along the way. So with that said, let's get rolling. First up, Scooby-Dooby-Doo. When I was young, Scooby-Doo was about the coolest cartoon you could watch on Saturday mornings. Yeah, I know there were a lot of really great cartoons created just for kids way back then, but there was just something about those meddling kids and their loyal Great Dane. If I remember my Scooby trivia correctly, at least at some point during the creation of the original 1969 cartoon, the show was going to be titled The Mystery Five, and Scoob was initially planned to be more of a sidekick. However, as the show's writers continued to develop the characters, it became clear that Scooby was indeed the star of the show. Some of my earliest memories of Saturday mornings center around Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? I'd grab a big bowl of Lucky Charms and head downstairs in our split-level home, turn on the TV, and then wait for it to warm up. Yep, I distinctly remember that. At least for a period of time, we had a TV that would take almost a full minute to warm up to the point where you could see the picture. The audio was there right away, but the video? Well, not so much. Then I'd usually have to piddle around with the antenna for a bit to get a picture that was mostly ghost-free. Just saying all this makes me realize how grateful I am for the super clear, instant-on HD televisions that we have today. And yes, I'm still grateful for Lucky Charms as well. Mostly the marshmallows, though. So anyway, getting back to the show, who doesn't remember the relatively non-violent but super spooky adventures of Fred, Daphne, Velma, Shaggy, and Scoob? The best part of these original episodes was the uber-loyal relationship of Shaggy Rogers and his best friend Scooby. And a running gag on the show was their massive appetites. I loved how regardless of how scary the situation was that they were in, they were also very, very hungry. Always hungry.
I wish I had a ham sandwich to calm my nerves. Well, what do you know?
I also loved that ultimately at the end of every episode, the so-called scary creature would be unmasked and the team would explain in great detail how the case was solved. And who can forget the classic line, "And I would have gotten away with it if it weren't for you meddling kids." Such good stuff. So with all that said, you can just imagine my excitement when in 1972 CBS's Saturday morning offerings included the new Scooby-Doo movies. The cartoon was expanded from 30 to 60 minutes, and best of all, along with ghosts, vampires, and all sorts of spooky creatures, the gang would encounter stars of stage and screen. We're talking big stars of the day: Sandy Duncan, Sonny and Cher, Dick Van Dyke, and the legendary Don Knotts. Words can't describe just how awesome this show was. I mean, think about it. Really? Larry, Moe, and Curly? Legends! I believe this cartoon was my actual introduction to the Three Stooges. Afterward, I made it a point to learn more about these classic comedic characters, and to this day, I have a soft spot for their particular brand of humor, as I do for this great comedic duo. Yep, Laurel and Hardy found their way into a Scooby-Doo mystery, and it was television gold. As was the appearance of the Harlem Globetrotters. This one was especially cool because I loved the Globetrotters growing up, especially Meadowlark Lemon and Curly Neal. I would spend hours practicing my own trick shots and imagining that I was part of the team. Of course, I had a few things working against me on that one, but a guy can dream, right? And being a big fan of I Dream of Jeannie, how could I not love it when the gang encountered her animated counterpart? Jeannie was so cute, and that Babu guy, well, he was pretty funny as well. But the greatest moment of all, the crowning achievement of this particular version of Scooby-Doo, was when they were slated to meet the Caped Crusaders. When the show originally aired, at the end of each episode, there would be a brief preview of what was coming next week and who would be the guest. And when this picture of the dynamic duo flashed across my screen, I literally screamed for joy. This was before Super Friends, and because it was before VCRs, I hadn't seen the late 60s animated version of Batman and Robin yet. Let's just say Batman sightings on TV were relatively few and far between back then, so you can imagine my excitement to see my all-time favorite comic book character back on TV. However, when the set warmed up the following Saturday morning, this is what I saw: the Paris Accord, the end of the U.S.'s involvement in Vietnam. I remember my father telling me not to be sad because it was a good thing, but I couldn't help but be just a little bit disappointed. Back then, I never did get to see the gang's adventures with Batman and Robin. And yes, there were two of them. But ultimately, years later, technology would provide me with ample chances to catch both episodes, and you know what? They were great. Even if, for some strange reason, the animators chose to color Batman's cowl so that it looked like his neck was showing. You'd think I'd be over that by now, but it still bugs me that no one cared enough to fix that. Well, they did fix it on the cover of the DVD release, but that's it. Still, they are fun to watch from time to time. And really, it was the beginning of a partnership that would endure. Over the years, the Scooby Gang have met Batman multiple times in the comics. And a couple of years ago, Warner Home Media released a brand new Scooby-Doo movie where the gang once again joins forces with the Dark Knight.
Mark Twain for Meade. When I was in school, I used to lose my papers almost as fast as I wrote on them. I should have had the classifier from Meade. The classifier has a perforated writing pad and 3 filing pockets. So get a classifier for every subject. And get my new book, Blueberry Finn. The classifier only for Meade.
Hey, let's play McDonald's French fry word game. Don't be shy. Give it a try. Think of the word. Plain and fry.
The financial section.
Hello, Dr. Fried? I'm having a identity crisis.
Take some McDonald's fries and call me in the morning.
Right.
They're fantastic.
Dynamite.
At McDonald's, we do it all for you. At McDonald's.
12 coffees, 9 with cream.
You're on.
Maxine, that's instant coffee.
Not just instant coffee. Instant Maxwell House. I make every cup fresh. See those flavor buds? They're what does it.
Tastes fresh.
Right. When you make it fresh, every cup tastes fresh, like your first cup in the morning. Good to the last drop. And that last drop's pretty good, too. I think I'll have a cup.
Instant Maxwell House.
Good to the last drop.
Breathe in chocolate, breathe out mint. That's Tootsie Roll Minties.
Super, Ollie, what's going on?
We're enjoying Tootsie Roll Minties, friends. Minties are chewy, chocolatey Tootsie Roll and refreshing mints. Now breathe in and out.
Chocolate. Mint.
Breathe in chocolate, breathe out mint. That's Tootsie Roll Minties.
You know, we began working long before we opened our Pizza Hut restaurant. Looks like Mr. Emery's got us another load of fresh vegetables. Jack and Rudy mix up fresh dough. The way we make pizza and pasta and sandwiches makes for some extra work, but it's a lot of fun, too. And when that first customer walks in, we're ready. People here really are the best, and I ought to know. I'm Seth Adams, the manager.
Let's take a look at all 10 of my favorite films of 1979, starting with Apocalypse Now, Francis Ford Coppola's epic drama about Americans in Vietnam. And then came Breaking Away, about high school graduates getting ready to take their chances in the real world. Third was Michael Cimino's The Deer Hunter, about 3 steelworkers who went off to fight the war in Vietnam. Rainer Werner Fassbinder's The Marriage of Maria Braun was another war movie about the reconstruction of post-war West Germany and an ambitious woman who was reconstructed right along with it. Fifth was Hair, an inspired and brilliant musical recalling the age of Aquarius. And then I chose St. Jack, starring Ben Gazzara as an American pimp in Singapore. Seventh was Kramer vs. Kramer with Dustin Hoffman and Meryl Streep as a divorced couple in a child custody fight. Number 8 was the uncommonly intelligent thriller The China Syndrome with Jack Lemmon and Jane Fonda in the story of a nuclear plant meltdown. Ninth was Werner Herzog's Nosferatu, a brilliant and macabre retelling of the legend of Count Dracula. And in 10th place, I chose, inevitably, 10, the Blake Edwards comedy starring Dudley Moore as a man hopelessly in love with a vision of female perfection, played by Bo Derek.
Yeah, somehow I remember her in that picture. Well, we agree, isn't this interesting? We agree on 7 out of 10. Okay, here's my list in order of personal preference. My number 1 favorite film of 1979 was Hair, a stirring musical of the 60s with striking images provided by director Milos Forman. Number 2, Kramer vs. Kramer. All the details right and beautifully acted by Dustin Hoffman and Meryl Streep. Number 3 on my list is The Deer Hunter, which is on both Roger and my list this year because it didn't open until 1979 in all but 3 cities in the United States, so we consider it a 1979 film. It's a powerhouse drama of the grim realities of the Vietnam War. Number 4, Breaking Away, the year's sunniest film, a sweet slice of middle Americana. Number 5, Woody Allen's provocative and very funny Manhattan. Number 6, The Marriage of Maria Braun, one of 2 German films on my list. Number 7, the other German film, Werner Herzog's Nosferatu, a fresh retelling of the vampire legend with Klaus Kinski as the creepiest and also the saddest Count Dracula ever on film. Number 8, The Onion Field, a brutal thriller about a real-life 7-year trial of 2 lowlifes accused of murdering a policeman. Number 9, Time After Time, an original and romantic science fiction mystery and thriller. It's got everything. And number 10, The China Syndrome, which was a terrific thriller even before that accident at 3 Mile Island.
Gomer Pyle USMC, which starred Jim Nabors and Frank Sutton, was a huge hit for CBS and would run for a total of 5 seasons in all, 1964 to 1969. To lend some level of authenticity to the series, some of the scenes from the show, including the opening sequence, were filmed at the Marine Corps Recruiting Depot in San Diego, California, and many actual Marines were visible in those scenes. Talking about that opening sequence, this was a scene that was filmed with actual servicemen. The music is upbeat, and that opening sequence is meant to kind of establish the show as lighthearted when it's juxtaposed against what was actually happening at the time that the show was airing in the United States. We had the Vietnam conflict, and many of these Marines ended up serving over in Vietnam and having tours of duty, and some of them didn't return home. As soldiers came home and started watching the show, particularly in reruns, that scene became very difficult. It was difficult to watch the show for the reason that it ignored reality, and much like the Andy Griffith Show that it was spun off from, it's a fantasy. It's not real. One more thing. Frank Sutton, who played Sergeant Carter on the show, could not pass the U.S. Marine Corps physical during World War II and ended up serving in the Army. During his service, he distinguished himself by taking part in 14 different assault landings. If you're ever in Clarksville, Tennessee, Sutton's hometown, head on down to Franklin Street to get your picture taken with this eternally exasperated feller.
Flipping through the channels on a cold, rainy day, found an old show I used to love, but then it slipped away. Watching again was like hanging with friends. I had so much fun, I didn't want it to end. Reruns of old TV shows, every scene, every line I still know. Feels so good to watch them again. Feels so good to take it slow. Oh, VHS tapes and my DVDs, treasures to cherish, to watch when I please. Oh, TV commercials I used to ignore, now I can't get enough, kept I want more. Watching again was like hanging with friends. I had so much fun, I didn't want it to end. Reruns of old TV shows, every scene, every line I still know. Feels so good to watch them again. Feels so good to take it slow. Memories in monochrome, feels like coming home. Reruns of old TV shows, every scene, every line I still know. Feels so good to watch them again. Feels so good to take it slow.
Classic TV Funhouse with Dave Sunstrom.
Hey, welcome back. You know, I have had so much fun playing videos for everybody today, and I'm going to keep doing it for the next little bit, so don't anybody go anywhere. But I wanted to pop back on screen for just a moment. I noticed a moment ago, I think it was Uncle Paul from Uncle Paul's Playhouse mentioned that we lost another Pretty big time celebrity yesterday. Let me see if I can find that really quick. Here we go. Bobby Sherman, teen idol in the 60s and the 70s, dies at the age of 81. This was actually, he passed away yesterday, June 24th, 2025. And boy, I remember him from, what I really remember him from are a lot of guest star appearances on things like The Love Boat during the 70s. I think he was on Flying High. I've mentioned Flying High a few times. A relatively little-known show that starred Connie Selica, pre-Greatest American Hero. But Bobby Sherman had cancer, stage 4. He was stage 4 cancer, and I believe that his passing was announced by actor John Stamos, who's a friend of the family. Definitely someone who's going to be missed. A life well lived, though. Very well lived. All right, so I promised some stuff on Don Wells. I think we're going to do Don Wells, some more commercials. I got oodles of stuff. Stick around because I'm not planning on going anywhere for the next 30-ish minutes or so. So welcome, everybody, to the Classic TV Funhouse, and hopefully you're all having a good time. I love seeing the camaraderie that's going on in the chat. Let me see. Where is that Don Wells video? There it is. It's not just a Don Wells video. It's a Bob Denver video. And even more than that, it's a Pat Sajak video.
Marianne was played by
Dawn Wells.
Dawn Wells. Yeah. Do you keep in touch with the old
Oh,
man?
sure, we see each other. We get rescued anywhere there's a body of water in the United States.
Yeah. Good. Ladies and gentlemen, here's Dawn Wells. Dawn? She's still trying to win your heart.
Coconut cream pie, my favorite.
I want to make you feel at home, Bob.
Thank you so much, Dawn. Boy, is this tempting.
You're tempting to... You really want to throw it, don't you? You really want to throw it, don't
These are really heavy. You throw these, boy, they're dangerous.
Well, we'll put it down.
How many did you get in the face?
Oh, lots.
Now, I asked about romance or implied romance.
Right.
Was there any? There was none of that between the two of you.
I think we had an episode where they tried to romance us or marry us or get us engaged or something, but censors wouldn't allow that either. You know, we were all on this island sort of unchaperoned.
But you wore a little cutaway.
Hip huggers, shorts, but I had to have a little point to cover my navel. In that day and age, you couldn't show your navel or you couldn't show any cleavage. One of my favorite stories is Sherwood Schwartz coming home at night saying to his wife he'd had a terrible day between the censors at CBS trying to prop up my pants and prop up Tina's neckline. Between the cleavage and the navels, they could hardly go on the air.
Did you get mail from? Because I know some young men. In fact, I might be one of them who
fantasized a bit.
Who found the whole idea rather attractive.
I have a wonderful story, Pat. I was doing a cable show on television. We were out on a location on a ship. And a very young man, about 23, was one of the boom operators who was too shy to talk to me. And people kept saying, Dawn, he's had a crush on you forever. And he wouldn't talk to me until the very last day. And his name was Bam Bam, and he was about 6'3", about 230 pounds. And he picked me up and put me on his lap and put his arms around me and said, I just want you to know you got me through puberty in the nicest of ways.
That doesn't happen to me.
That's kind of sweet,
heaven.
I guess. And are you going to do any more reunion shows? Is it in the
We have
cards?
another 2-hour script for, TV movie that Sherwood's written, and it's Gilligan, the Second Generation. I marry Marianne, and this Professor marries Ginger, and we all have little children till they're 7, like we were before. And they grow up, and they want to go back to see where Gilligan's Island was. And they get a boat, and they go out, and there's a big storm.
All right, Sherwood, you've pressed the limits of credibility too far this time.
And they land on the island, and they do, all the things we did on the island, and we're back on the mainland, the original cast, trying to find out where they are.
Well, that seems like a good idea. So you two would end up hitched.
Husband and wife? And do we have a daughter or son?
Boy and a girl.
Boy and a girl.
The girl looks like you, and the boy looks like, I hope, you.
The theme song. As I recall, some characters were added to the theme song without changing the song. As I remember early on, the Professor and Marianne were not included in it, and then they sort of sneaked him in. The Professor and Marianne?
We were the rest.
Originally you were and the rest.
And the rest.
How did you get
There was a
tired of
billing
being the
problem
rest?
at the beginning. I think when we originally went on the air, I think the billing was arranged. There were 3 replacements. Ginger, the Professor, and Marianne came in after the pilot. We weren't in the original show. And we did a lot of negotiations, and I guess Tina's contract came out first. So she was negotiated to be the last of the 5 being billed. So we were the rest for about a
you could follow
year.
negotiation just by following the tune. It was kind of a...
So guess who went out the last 2 years?
I said to them, it's not really fair. 7 people on the island. You shouldn't have the rest 2 people stuck. Put them in front. And they said, no, contractually, they're stuck back there. And I said, well, contractually, I get first billing, so I have choice where I want to go. And they went, yeah. I said, I'll take last billing then. They went, all right, we'll move them up.
Good for you, Bob.
I didn't know that was you.
That's very nice. That's an unusual story in Hollywood. Anyway, it's great seeing you both. It's a fun show to watch and a fun show to talk about. And no matter what they may have written about it, it has outlasted most of those people who've done the writing. So that's true. Our thanks to Bob Denver and Dawn Wells. Thank you, folks. I hope you can stick around for a bit because blood, sweat, and tears, all of them, coming right out. Stay with us.
Did you know?
There's more for your life. Arnie's here, Atari 2, a catalog of all that's new. There's more for your life at Sears. In store for you, a Bell phone store, friendly smiles, all the latest bathroom styles. There's more for your life. In store for your life. There's more for your life. At Sears.
Wednesday.
There's a shark out there!
Just when you thought it was safe,
She's been kidnapped!
Terry's the bait for a bigger fish.
I want you to kill a man. Cold Seavers.
But you can't keep a good man down.
What are you going to do to me?
It depends on you. He's the fall guy.
Wednesday on ABC.
There's a new cereal in the neighborhood with O's and ghosts.
Tastes real good. Ghostbusters.
Marshmallow ghosts, fruit-flavored O's. Ghostbusters taste great with milk and juice and toast. A nutritious breakfast with the ghosts.
Ghostbusters.
Fruit-flavored O's.
Ghostbusters.
Marshmallow ghosts.
Ghostbusters.
Hey, what are you gonna crunch?
In class, he's just another face in the crowd. In heaven, the hottest dance club in town. He's the main attraction. When the feeling hit them, there was no place hotter than heaven. A night in heaven. Rated R. Starts Friday at a selected theater near you.
The honest beauty of Stephanie Powers.
My makeup has to look as if it's part of me. So my makeup is moisture wear. Make it yours.
1 week from tonight, a motion picture that takes you beyond imagining. The day before.
There's not going to be a war, is there?
The day of.
This is not an exercise. Over 300 missiles inbound now.
The day after. Parental discretion advised.
Lawrence, Kansas. Anybody there? Anybody at all?
The finer things in life. Happily, some are affordable, like Grey Poupon Dijon mustard. Grey Poupon is so fine, it's even made with white wine. Its original French Dijon recipe adds distinctive flavor to beef, pork, and poultry, salad dressing and sauces, and of course, sandwiches. So enjoy one of life's finer pleasures.
Pardon me, would you have any Grey Poupon?
But of course, Grey Poupon. It even has wine.
Are you tired of paying way too much to stream live television? Well, my friends, let me introduce you to Frndly TV, where you can stream over 50 live TV channels each month for less than the cost of a fast food combo meal. And yes, that price also includes an unlimited cloud-based DVR, and you know what that means. You got it. You can skip through all the commercials. But that isn't even the best thing about Frndly TV. The thing that I love so much is that many of the channels allow you to relive your favorite childhood memories with classic TV shows from decades gone by. I'm talking about great shows like Andy Griffith, Leave It to Beaver, Batman, and Star Trek. Yep, the good stuff is on Frndly TV. I was looking through some old copies of the National Enquirer the other day, and I came across an article that, while kind of crazy, felt like it might be true. The title of the article was Leave It to Beaver Star Battles Death, and the picture of Jerry Mathers that was on the cover really did look like he was at death's door, so I decided to do a bit of research, and here's what I found out. Back in April of 2001, NBC decided to have a little bit of fun with its Thursday night rival over on CBS, Survivor. The network's attitude was, if you can't beat them, make fun of them. So The Tonight Show with Jay Leno came up with their own version. Instead of regular folks, they got stars from 70s and 80s classic TV to compete. And instead of $1 million prize, well, the winner got bragging rights. Yeah, that's it. Just bragging rights. So getting to Jerry's scary moment. During a challenge, Jerry was asked to help his team by eating a live worm. Now, that team had Florence Henderson, Charlene Tilton, and Adam Rich, and he didn't want to let them down. So, while not exactly gourmet dining, Jerry thought it was all good fun. At least that's what, I think everyone thought that. So he went for it and swallowed that worm whole, because that's what you do when you're on TV and you've got Jay Leno egging you on. So anyway, after the show, Jerry started to get really sick, and it turns out that that little worm gave him a stomach infection. And I'm not talking about just a little old tummy ache. This one was serious. According to that article in the National Enquirer, Jerry suffered from rectal bleeding, abdominal pain, and, well, let's just say he had some big-time diarrhea. The infection was so bad that he lost 15 pounds and was stuck dealing with the aftermath for weeks. There are various other accounts out there about how serious it was. I can't tell if Jerry actually ended up in a hospital fighting for his life or if that part is an urban myth. However, I can assure you that he truly regretted eating that live worm on TV for laughs. This whole worm eating thing got me thinking about that classic young adult novel, How to Eat Fried Worms. You remember that one, right? It's about a kid who has to eat a whole bunch of worms over the course of a couple of weeks to win a bet. But in that story, just as the title indicates, the worms are fried. They're cooked up in a pan with all kinds of tasty toppings. And you know what? The kid survives just fine. No infections, no hospital visits, no drama. So maybe Jerry's problem wasn't the worm itself. It was the fact that it was raw. If only Jay Leno had handed him a fried worm with a side of ketchup, things might have turned out a little bit differently.
Did you know? Feast your eyes on that big world outside. It's a fact. Step out and don't look back. This is the time for having fun.
While I am a huge fan of the Andy Griffith Show, I have publicly gone on record in the past as not being that big of a fan of Helen Crump. Now, don't get me wrong, I think that the actress who played her, Anita Corso, was pretty darn great. In fact, I'd even go as far as to say that Anita was awesome in a lot of things, including that Steve McQueen B-movie classic, The Blob. And let us not forget that according to author Daniel DeVise, Anita was one of Andy Griffith's great loves during his life. That said, I simply refuse to believe that Helen Crump was really the one that Sheriff Andy Taylor was supposed to end up with. She always seemed to be upset about something. And when you compare her to Miss Peggy or even Ellie Walker, well, on screen she just didn't strike me as the woman that Andy would eventually wed. Heck, she wasn't even the real Helen Crump. Now, if you're scratching your head a bit, I really do have to apologize. But you see, there really was a Helen Crump out there. And let me just say that she was every bit as wonderful as the actress who played her namesake on the small screen. The real Helen Crump, like her fictional television counterpart, also lived in North Carolina. Hickory, North Carolina, to be exact. But that, my friends, is where the similarities end. You see, the real Helen Crump went through an awful lot during her relatively short life because she had something called Pick's disease. The scientific term for Pick's disease is frontotemporal dementia, and the symptoms are problems with memory, thinking, or language, and changes in mood, emotions, and behavior. And as you might expect, like most folks suffering from some sort of dementia, as time went on, it got worse. Fortunately for the real Helen Crump, just like Andy's girlfriend, she had someone who loved her very much as well. One of the local milk carriers in Hickory, North Carolina, a feller named Dwight, well, he fell hard for Helen, and their love story is just one of the all-time greats. Coincidentally, Helen and Dwight got married in 1960, the same year that the Andy Griffith Show debuted on CBS. Their life together was, by all accounts, very much like the lives of the citizens who resided in Mayberry, full of all the wonderful little moments that small-town living affords. After a few years, Helen and Dwight welcomed their own little Opie into the world, a young man named Alan, who, just like Andy's kid, was a true asset to the family. Helen made sure that he did well in school and that he was kind to others and other things like earning his Eagle Scout award. But more importantly than all that stuff, she always made sure that he knew that he was loved. When Helen was diagnosed with Pick's disease in her mid-30s, it hit the family like a ton of bricks. But they were strong and they continued with dogged determination to live their best lives possible every single day. And of course, Helen got teased a lot about her name. But she didn't mind because she was the original, the real Helen Crump. At one point during the late 80s or early 90s, Helen and her husband were actually asked if they would like to meet the actress who played Helen Crump because, you see, Anita was in North Carolina for Mayberry days. Without hesitation, Dwight said that he had no need to meet Anita because he was married to the real deal. I have to believe that Helen was tickled with her husband's response. Although if I had been asked that, don't get me wrong, I would have jumped at the chance. The real Helen Crump passed away in 2003. From everything I've read about Pick's disease, I'm sure that those last few years were not easy for her or for her family. But they were always there for her, and just like Helen had done for decades, they made sure that she always knew that she was loved.
Danny Staton, come and find me if you can.
This week in the National Enquirer, it's America at its most fatherly as Bill Cosby talks exclusively to us about kids and drugs. It's America at its most miraculous as a heart transplant mom gives birth to a miracle baby. It's America at its loneliest as Leonard Nimoy leaves his wife of 32 years on her birthday. It's America at its zaniest
as the feds spent a fortune to study the love talk of frauds.
Ribbit, baby.
The National Enquirer, yes, America at its best.
Run out and buy the Enquirer now.
Tuesday, Matlock defends a chef with a deadly dish.
Sodium cyanide.
Sounds awful.
Was it the butcher, the baker, or the crusty food taster?
Anybody.
Matlock. Then the hill is rocked when Joyce is taken hostage.
I go, she goes.
Conferlo Saver.
Say bye-bye to wifey, Captain.
Hill Street Blues.
Come on home, Tuesday.
Welcome to Burger King.
Yeah, Whopper extra onions, please.
No problem.
Whopper, no pickles.
No problem.
Hey, guys.
Cheeseburger, extra ketchup.
No problem.
Hold the tomato.
No problem.
At Burger King, we flame broil for a taste more like a backyard barbecue and fix your burger any way you like. But there is one way we can't fix your burger.
Fried burger, please.
Now we've got a problem.
I'm so embarrassed.
This is a Burger King town.
Neighbor's kid.
We know how burgers should be.
You Earth people keep stars in a bowl?
Campbell's chicken and star soup.
Why do you put stars where you speak?
That's the way we eat. Mouth.
This is the way we eat. Campbell's taste good.
Fun.
Kids may be different, but Campbell's knows what they love. That's why we have 6 delicious soups for kids.
If you eat where you speak, do you drink where you listen?
Campbell's soup is good food.
Roswell Gilbert loved his wife for 51 years, but he never loved her more
Let me die.
than the day he killed her.
Roswell Gilbert, he is being charged with murder in the 1st degree.
Based on an incredible true story.
I had to do it.
Robert Young stars Mercy or Murder, Sunday.
My lips are sealed with chapstick. Uh-oh. Chapstick, please. Will that be cash? Just put it on my bill.
My lips are sealed with chapstick.
My dad used to be a foreman at this shop. I like working here a lot. Almost as much as I like quitting time.
You put your time in. Now you're ready for some fun. And to help you through it all, there's Milky Way. Slow down. Take a moment and enjoy all the goodness of a quarter cup of milk. Natural cane and corn sugars, and thick chocolate in every bar.
I've looked forward to this all day.
A Milky Way a day helps you work, rest, and play.
Stingray is back.
Take an ad out introducing Stingray.
The hit series will have America head over heels.
Whoever you are, you're good.
He's a mysterious stranger, but the only man left you can count on.
Some mysteries are better left unsolved.
So do yourself a favor.
Need a volunteer.
It's the return of Stingray, Friday.
At Duracell, the race to be the best, to be the king of the road, goes on and on. Which is why today's copper top battery lasts up to 30% longer than the ones we made just 2 years ago. Today's copper top from Duracell. No battery lasts longer. And race to your store now, and we'll send you a rebate of up to $5 for buying Duracell batteries.
Fuji Videotape presents Quality Control.
The people at Fuji put their videotape through a lot. They forward and reverse it hundreds of times. Meep, 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 meep. They subject it to extremes of hot and cold.
Finally, the stress test. Captain, I'm giving it full power and she's still holding together.
It's a demanding job. But Fuji wants your tape to last, no matter what you put it through.
Fuji Videotape. Put the good stuff on the good stuff.
You know, whenever I think about classic TV, I immediately think about the Frndly TV streaming service that has over 50 channels, many of them showcasing classic television shows from decades gone by, for a crazy low price. You can try the service free for 7 days by clicking on the link in the description section, and when you do, you're supporting this channel. Thanks.
Hey folks, if you're enjoying this live stream, be like the Fonz and give it a thumbs up. Hey.
Growing up, the animated version of Star Trek was essential viewing for me on Saturday mornings. Even all these years later, I still remember that I would borrow my dad's alarm clock that he would use during workdays to get up for work, I would set it for 6:50 a.m., which would allow me time to head downstairs and warm up the family TV. Way back then, TVs would take a minute or two to warm up. Well, at least ours did. At 7 a.m., Super Friends were on ABC, followed by Lassie's Rescue Rangers, and then I would flip it over to NBC and enjoy the new adventures of Captain Kirk, Spock, Bones, and the rest of the crew of the Starship Enterprise. After that ended, it would be 9 a.m. and I would head upstairs to grab some cold cereal for breakfast. My favorite back then was Lucky Charms. And you know what? I did feel lucky. Very lucky. It was truly a golden time to be a kid. What I didn't know way back then was all of the controversy surrounding the animated Star Trek show. You see, for years, Trekkies, yes, I'm going to call us that, had been clamoring for more Star Trek after NBC canceled the live-action series. However, when it was announced that Gene Roddenberry was reviving it as a Saturday morning cartoon, instead of cheers of joy, there was a tremendous amount of concern due to the fact that Trekkies believed that the show would be dumbed down to make it more palatable for kids. And truthfully, I can see how some of the worries were justified. After all, the show was being produced by Filmation, a studio that, at the time, wasn't known for creating high-quality programs. Now, years later, we all know that Roddenberry, Filmation, and the entire team that worked on the show really rose to the occasion. Sure, there are things that you can quibble about, but all in all, Star Trek the Animated Series serves as an excellent companion to the original program. Most of the actors returned. All of them wanted to, but the budget was somewhat limited, which meant that Walter Koenig was not asked to return. That said, Roddenberry found another way to keep Walter employed. He asked him to write an episode of the show. Speaking of writing, the scripts for the animated series were absolutely top-notch. DC Fontana served as story editor, and she was able to round up some of the best science fiction writers in the industry for a couple of reasons. One, while the show was being produced, there was a television writers' strike going on, and Fontana knew that the writers were still allowed to write one episode of an animated show while they were striking. And the second reason is that these folks truly were excited to be working on a Star Trek project again. Who wouldn't be? I loved that show so very much. I also ended up reading the Alan Dean Foster novelizations. His Star Trek logbooks expanded on the excellent stories, whose only real flaw was the short runtime of a half-hour Saturday morning cartoon. Believe it or not, Star Trek the Animated Series was the first Star Trek television series to win an Emmy Award, when in its second season it received the 1975 Emmy for Outstanding Entertainment in a Children's Series.
Classic TV Funhouse with Dave Sunstrom.
Hey everybody, this has been a lot of fun. Still have some more stuff for you. Yes, I still have some more stuff for you. I noticed that my buddy Thrash Pondo Ponds just showed up. I can't stop yet, right? I can't stop now. I've got to keep going for a little bit so Ponds can enjoy the party. Bob, it's great to have you here. Great to have everybody that's been hanging out with me for the last hour. So let me rustle up a few more things, some more vintage commercials. I think I promised at the top of the hour something about Grant Goodeve. I'll do that as well. It's been a good time, folks. Stick around. I've got more.
Don't I get 2 pan pizzas for the price of one?
Don't think of it as one pizza. Think of it as one pizza and one box.
What am I going to do with a box?
Ever hear of origami?
What's that?
A pterodactyl.
A what?
At Little Caesars, you never get 1 pan pizza and 1 box. You get 2 great pan pizzas for 1 low price.
I want something round, crisp, and buttery tasting. A taste so good, nothing can take its place. It's not just any one, it's the only one. You just won't miss. When I want a cracker, I want a Ritz. That special taste always hits the spot. No other cracker has got what it's got. When I want a cracker,
Romancing the Stone, starring Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner, will continue in a moment.
Tomorrow, the memoir of a president's daughter, a candid talk with Maureen Reagan.
Also, Audrey Hepburn and Lou Diamond Phillips on Good Morning America tomorrow.
The hits keep coming on Terrific Tuesday. First, he's neat, he's clean.
I told the clinic he wasn't ready.
Who's the boss? Then,
Debbie Pfeiffer, Paul's little sister, she really loved me.
The Wonder Years. And there's a corpse in the kitchen.
Well, geez, I guess I just can't leave you boys alone for 5 minutes.
Roseanne, then Marty gets dumped.
I'm sorry, Marty.
How could you just toss 43 days down the drain? Anything But Love. Who's the boss? The Wonder Years. Roseanne. Anything But Love, a terrific Tuesday.
The Duracell batteries we make now live longer than the ones from a few years back. Today's Duracell lasts up to 30% longer.
See this bag? It does the impossible. It's the microwave cooking bag that comes with the new microwave add meat dinners called Hunt's Minute Gourmet. It makes great homemade dinners without the work. You want chicken cacciatore? Just add fresh chicken, along with Hunt's home-style sauce. All in the bag, then simmer in the microwave. Tender and delicious. There's Oriental beef, Cajun pork, and more. Hunt's Minute Gourmet. Taste the impossible. Homemade dinners without the work.
The Boy Who Cried Wolf.
Help! My Isuzu Trooper's stuck in the mud. Ha ha! My Trooper has 4-wheel drive and a powerful engine, so it won't get stuck. Help! I can't fit all this firewood in my Trooper. Ha ha! He can carry all this and 5 adults. Help! Whoa! I'll never lie again. I'll never lie again. Help! Whoa!
Now you can save up to $900 on the Versatile Trooper.
Did you know?
Growing up, 8 is Enough was one of my favorite TV shows to watch on ABC. I loved the entire cast, from youngest child Nicholas, played by Adam Rich, to the oldest sibling in the Bradford clan, David, played by Grant Goodeve. In this video, I will do my best to provide an update about what Grant has been doing since the show ended in 1981. But first, let's talk just a little bit about the show itself. As I think back to this beloved TV show, which ran for 5 seasons, the thing that I remember most is just how good it made me feel. I could try to describe it, but maybe it might make sense to share one of the original promos that ran on ABC instead.
America's been waiting for a family show about a real family.
Maybe you're just old-fashioned. Yeah, maybe.
A show that reveals the joys and the sorrows.
You better all dig down and find your pennies, because this family could be in deep financial trouble.
The triumphs and the defeats of real people.
Mary, would you lay off? He's just trying to do his job.
The Bradfords are the family. 8 is Enough is the show. Right after Happy Days and Laverne and Shirley.
Hold on just a moment there. What's Mark Hamill doing on 8 is Enough? Well, as a struggling actor who had not yet made it big in a certain science fiction flick, Mark was actually cast as David in the pilot. However, when it became painfully obvious that Mark had other things going on that were going to occupy most, if not all, of his time, the role of David was recast, and that's where Grant enters the picture. Along with its talented cast, one of the more memorable things about the show was its theme song, which actually wasn't used until the 3rd season. Well, that's not actually right. The song was performed by Grant himself, and it actually made its debut during the final episode of the 2nd season when his character David performed it on stage. The song itself did not chart here in the US, but it did help establish Grant as a singer. More on that in a moment. But first, I've just got to say that I loved Grant's guest star appearance in a 1983 episode of T.J. Hooker titled Blue Murder. Now there's another great TV show. You got Shatner, Locklear, and that feller from Bachelor Party, and a bunch of great guest stars. How can you go wrong? In addition to T.J. Hooker, Grant showed up on programs like Love Boat and Fantasy Island. In interviews, Grant has said that he really enjoyed working on those shows because he was able to work with some of the legendary actors from an earlier era. He especially enjoyed working with Ricardo Montalban, who told him that he was so grateful to be working that he thanked God every day. Those conversations made a lasting impression on Grant, as you will see in just a minute or two. In 1984, Grant hosted a short-lived Solid Gold spin-off titled Solid Gold Hits. I only vaguely remember this show, but from what I understand, it had the Solid Gold dancers on it, so it couldn't have been that bad. After that, there were stints on shows like Dynasty and on the daytime soap opera One Life to Live. And with each opportunity to work, I am certain that Grant kept in mind Ricardo Montalban's words about giving thanks. It would have been so easy for him to wonder why he wasn't getting bigger leading roles. But instead he developed a reputation within the industry as someone who came to work with a smile on his face and an understanding that each day and each acting opportunity was a gift. And of course there was the obligatory reunion movie. Actually, I think there were 2 of them if I remember correctly. And while I absolutely love Mary Fran, I really think that they should have waited until they were able to get Betty Buckley back. Grant also had a prominent role in the CBS television series Northern Exposure in a handful of episodes during that program's first season. Earlier in this video, I mentioned that the 8 Is Enough theme song really helped establish Grant as an accomplished singer. So I guess it shouldn't be surprising to anyone that in 1996 Grant released his first, and from what I can tell his only album, titled The Wonder of It All. This recording showcases Grant's firmly held Christian beliefs. More on that in a bit, but let's get back to some of his more recent TV work. In 1998, Grant began hosting a travel show called Northwest Backroads, which ran locally on KING-TV in Seattle for approximately 16 years. Again, not the kind of gig that was going to propel him to superstardom, but it was steady work, and the workplace setting, well, it was pretty darn spectacular. Grant has been married to the love of his life, Deborah, since 1978. Over 4 decades. Holy cow, that is awesome. I have to believe that Grant and Debbie have treated their marriage in the same way that he has treated his career. It's a gift, something not to be taken lightly. Debbie, by the way, is also a singer. Something tells me that these two, regardless of the challenges that life might throw at them, make beautiful music together. Before moving away from the Seattle area, more on that in just a moment, Grant and Debbie were both very active with their Presbyterian church in the area and were often called upon to use their vocal talents to help minister to the local congregation. So like I just said, in 2014 Grant decided to move out of the Northwest and relocate to Atlanta in an effort to further reignite his acting career. And you know what? It seems to have worked. In 2017, Grant landed the role of Walter Lawford during the 3rd season of Twin Peaks. It wasn't a role that got him a ton of screen time, but the program itself, which aired on Showtime instead of ABC this time around, was very well received, and lots of people, once again, were able to see Grant Goodeve doing what he does best. Even more recently, he co-starred with former Duke boy Tom Wopat in a great little movie called County Line. I really enjoyed this film, and you know what? I think that you will as well.
You are special.
Click on that thumbnail cause it's time to go. Dave's got the classics, let the memories flow. TV shows and movies that we all hold so dear. On his YouTube channel he's keeping memories near. Dave Sundstrom, bringing back the good stuff, oh yeah.